3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, one and all, Monday Night Nerd Time. My name is Myers Corp Cosplay. I'm so happy you could be here. Tonight, we are talking about Fan Expo 2024. It is in the books. It is sold, sealed, delivered. We are here to talk about it and what happened at Fan Expo. What didn't we like? What did I get up to? And all that fun stuff, including a special thing tonight for all of you. I will be doing an unboxing of my new Detective Comics issue that I received in my alt bag. Oh, I don't know about the rest of you, but I am super tired from Fan Expo. I said on my stories earlier today that our friends in the volunteer area, we have a thing called Sunglasses Sunday. And that is we go party and have a good time on Saturday night, show up Sunday morning really freaking tired and hungover, so we all glasses first thing in the morning. Well, instead of Sunglasses Sunday, I put out the idea that we should have a thing called Man Hurt Monday, because boy, do my freaking feet hurt now. I wasn't just because I was walking around the convention. It was also because I was stupid and went for a big bloody walk at the end of the night. Which probably did not help things, but that's the way it is. In the video here, it's looking like it's a little choppy, so we're just going to give it a second to just to make sure we got a good connection here. I don't want anybody to... Second here, let me just adjust my connection. First thing of the night, dealing with some technical difficulties. Come on, folks. Come on. Give me some internet connection. This is the fun of doing everything wireless. There we go. I think we're, there we go. There we go. A bit better. All right. Let's get into things, folks. I took the day off for the first time. Best decision I've ever made. Wow. First time taking a day off. You know what? It's funny you bring that up, Andre. When my friends and I started going, we actually decided to we'd stay in the hotel an extra night, and we would stay the Monday and go home Monday morning, Monday afternoon. And man, it was such a nice thing to have. Unfortunately, don't have the budget right now to do that. And I also don't want to take an extra day off work. Yeah. Having that extra day is just very, very nice. All right, folks, let's jump into it. We have one little bit of news today. It's a sad bit. We used to do a part on the program every week when I first started called Thanks for the Memories, and that was to give thanks for someone that recently passed away. We kind of cut that segment because it just felt like a downer after a while. But I want to talk about one that just happened today, was announced today. And that is Sid Moody, unfortunately passed away. If you don't know who that is, if you're a wrestling fan, that is Psycho Sid, the great Psycho Sid. Sid Vicious is all the name. He passed away today, I believe, at around 63. I was a big Psycho Sid fan. I started watching wrestling in the 1997-ish era, late 96, 97, and Psycho Sid was really big at that point. He's like 6'11", huge, big guy, had the scariest look on his face. He came out like a modified version of the Psycho theme. Such a cool look, such a cool wrestler. And he's one of the first one, like, oh my God, he's so cool. And unfortunately, I never got to meet. I wish I got to meet him. But he didn't do a lot of cons or anything up here. So unfortunately, we lost him today, or I think it was today or yesterday. So I just wanted to say thank you for the memories to Psycho Sid. As a wrestling fan, that really, really sucks that he is no longer with us. But he will always have memories. If you're a wrestling fan, or even if you're not a wrestling fan and you want to see who Psycho Sid was, go on YouTube and check out Psycho Sid versus Shawn Michaels, Survivor Series 96, I believe, from Madison Square Garden. Unbelievable reaction to him. He also faced Undertaker at WrestleMania 13, another match. Yeah, sorry to see him go. He was a great wrestler. Let's jump into a quick sponsor, and then we're going to get into the show. Guys, you know this. The sponsor, as always, is my beautiful, loving wife, especially this weekend. She did so much for me. She allowed me to go to Fan Expo. She took care of our animals while I was away, was a great mom to them, as she always is. And I could not do it without her. I could not do any of this without her. Hun, I love you. Thank you for all your support and everything you do for me and the family. All right, let's jump into Fan Expo. And folks, if you're here to listen about Fan Expo and you're interested in what my opinion is, you probably are interested in other nerd stuff. So what you should do is hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, as kids say, and this will keep you informed of any nerdy things that are coming up, because folks, this is not the last con I'm going to this year. I still have London Comic-Con in 2 weeks. I've got Hamilton Comic-Con the week after. I've got Frightmare in the Falls in late October, and somehow I'm probably going to get suckered into going to Nickel City 2.0. So I got a few Comic-Cons to go in the Southern Ontario area, and if you want to stay up to date on what they're like, and if you go, you should hit that like button and subscribe button so you can make sure that you know when I tell you you should go or not. Let's jump into Fan Expo 2024. It's in history, and it was interesting. Let's start that. Let's start off with it was interesting. I went in last year really expecting the last one, the first big one since the pandemic era had kind of died down, to be a resurgence of my excitement of Fan Expo. And if you watched the episode last year where I talked about it, it didn't really have it. I wasn't really thrilled with it. There were multiple reasons why, and I went through them, and I'm not going to go through them again now because I got a whole new episode to talk about. But things like the masquerade, I had a problem with. Things like, the amount of people and stuff like that. Same complaints that a lot of people had. This year was my 15th anniversary. I've been going to Fan Expo since 2009. And I gotta admit, I didn't want to get my hopes up because last year was a bit of a disappointment, but I went, no, I'm going to be optimistic. This is a new year. Hopefully they've learned some things over the past year. Let's see how they do. Now we're going to go through it day by day so you know what I did. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the good, the bad, and what we can improve by overall score. And then we're going to go through what you guys said, because I have some people who messaged me in my story telling me what they thought about it. We're going to go through that. If you're in the chat now, tell me what you think as I'm talking, because I will bring it up every once in a while and chime in with what I think about your thoughts on it, because I want to know what you guys think, because I'm just one guy. I can only do so much. I can't run around to every part of it. So I want to know what you guys did, what you like, what you didn't like. Let's start off with day one. So I got the benefit, thank you, because this was an amazing benefit, to stay at the Intercontinental Hotel. If you don't know what the Intercontinental Hotel is, and you don't know where that is at Toronto and Fan Expo, that is the hotel that is attached to Fan Expo. This is the closest I ever to the convention. I did one time actually stay across the street at an Airbnb, which was great, but this was right attached to them, so I could literally roll out of bed, roll into a cosplay, roll down the elevator, roll into the convention, and I'm there. Don't even have to see the outside world if I didn't want to. To say that was a benefit is an understatement. I'm the type of person where it's not a sensory overload. It's not I don't people. I just kind of like to relax a little bit. So having the benefit of going back to my hotel every, once a day throughout the day, just to kind of chill, not nap, not anything like that, but to just relax, to maybe have a shower and just chill, was so nice. Before, at other hotels, you got to walk a couple blocks. If you're in cosplay, you're sweating. It's just that. It's not worth it. This is worth it. I will do my damnedest to be back there next year because as a cosplayer, it is Jeff's kiss, as Kevin Smith says. So we stopped at the hotel. I dropped off all my luggage with them. I did not park at the hotel because the parking fees at the hotel were way too much. I decided to park elsewhere because I knew a cheaper lot. So I drove my SUV over there, parked it, left it there for the weekend, and I came back. I decided because it was close to the South Building, I went through the South Building first, and I hit the ground run and I went downstairs. And as I do every single year, as I've done since my first convention, as soon as I stepped on the floor of the South Building, I said the words, "I'm home," because it honestly feels like home to me. And it's not because I love conventions so much. It's that I'm surrounded by the people that I want to be surrounded by. I'm surrounded by people who have similar interests. I have friends that have different interests than me, but it's still nice to have that group camaraderie, nerd, pop culture, geek culture, you want to call it, all in the same building, enjoying the same experience. It's like a concert times 20 because there's like 135,000 people there all weekend. So I walked out there and it was great. I looked around a little bit. The first thing I did was I wanted to go see what Disney had brought to the con. And what they brought was the Agatha booth. The Agatha, it was Agatha All was the booth there, and it was all about the new show that's coming on Disney Plus. And you got to walk in and you got to see some of the dresses that were from the show. As a cosplayer, that was really cool. As someone who's learning to sew, it was really cool to see. I took some good photos so I can kind of, maybe I can deep dive into them and see, you know, how they stitched it and stuff. Probably not going to understand it. Maybe my friend Crystal will be able to help me with that later. But yeah, it was really cool to go through there. And then I just took a nice casual walk through everything. I looked through the other booths, just kind of got a feel for the place, saw if anybody was giving anything away. And I did get some giveaways. I'm going to show you one right now. As a fan of the IP, I was super happy to get this. As a fan of this version of it, or not a fan, I should say, was a little disappointed. I did get a Borderlands pin, which I believe this is one of Tiny Tina's. I got myself a Borderlands poster. Probably not going to keep this very long. And then I saw them giving out this poster. And then when he gave it to me, I realized, did he give me 3? No, he gave me posters for other movies. And I don't know if I'm just of that age now where I'm not keeping up on everything, but these are posters for movies that are supposedly coming out in the next little while that I have never even heard of. So we've got Flight Risk with Mark Wahlberg. Didn't know that was coming out. Don't really have an interest in seeing it, but okay. And then Never Let Go with Halle Berry. Didn't know that was a thing. So I gotta admit, when I pulled it out of my bag, I just threw it in my bag, and then later on I was pulling stuff out, and I'm like, oh, they gave me 3. And I looked and went, I have no idea what these movies are, and I really don't have any interest in them. So it was cool to get a little bit of collectibles. I do appreciate the button, though. As a Borderlands fan, I can be like, well, this is a Borderlands pin. This isn't a movie pin. This is a Borderlands pin. But yeah, then I worked my way down to Artist Alley. Artist Alley is the best thing to do on a Thursday because any other day besides Thursday, it is crammed full of people. So I took my time. I went through Artist Alley, and they had some really cool stuff there. I did not buy anything, though, because I don't want to be that guy. I really appreciate the artist. I 100% do. However, as a cosplayer, as an artist, as a 3D printer, I can kind of make this stuff if I really wanted it. There isn't much in Artist Alley that I'm going, oh, that's amazing. I need this. I've also stated on this podcast many times, I need more walls than I need prints. I have a drawer over there with probably 10 prints that I bought over the years that we've never put up because we just do not have the wall space for it. So any stuff like that I appreciate. It's just not something I need in my house because I don't have any room for it. Then I took my time and I didn't even notice until I was halfway through walking. I went, oh, I need to go to BMW's booth because BMW is a graphic novel. Well, it's a bookstore in Toronto and they have a graphic novel section. And I usually make a killing there. They usually have boxes of bunch of graphic novels for like $20 for 4 or something like that. And I went, oh, I got to grab my graphic novels. I ran down as fast as I could. I got to the booth. No boxes. Not one box was on their booth this year. And I got to admit, I was disappointed. I bet you it has to do with inflation. I bet you it has to do with inventory and stuff like that. But I got to admit, I was kind of hoping for that. And I was a little bummed out. They had graphic novels, but they didn't have anything that jumped out at me for a good price. They had some there that I was interested in. They had a 25th anniversary of Hush. I don't have Hush, surprisingly. So I thought, well, I'll grab that. It is $18. Not the price I want. They had a She-Hulk one. $20. Yeah, not worth $20 in my opinion. So stuff like that was there. It just wasn't at the price I wanted. So I looked around a little bit and went, all right, there's nothing here jumping out at me. Let's head over to the North Building. And I knew one thing I had to do today because I knew I'd be in cosplay later in the weekend. I needed to get my celebrity autographs because that was one of the most important things because most of them were for my wife. Because I needed to meet a couple of them, but there was a couple that my wife needed. One of the big ones I needed to get was Larry Thomas, the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. As I've said on the program multiple times, he was the first guest that I really got to interact with when I started volunteering. And he was at Hamilton Comic-Con, and I never really got to say thank you for ending the night with myself and Sam Jones at a bar watching a football game, which is still... it is one of the coolest moments of my life. So I had to say hi to him. So we went down and I had to get my wife an autograph because she is a giant Seinfeld fan. So I met Larry and we talked for a few minutes and he remembered the night and he said it's great that I enjoyed it so much. He wishes we could do it again. I said, name the time and place and I will be there. So it was great to meet him. Next, I met Neil Newborn from the Baldur's Gate series. My wife is a big Baldur's Gate fan, so she wanted to make sure to get his autograph. And he is a very sweet guy. I know he had a lineup out the wazoo all weekend, and he deserved it because he is such a sweet guy. We told him that we have a rescue dog, and we're probably going to be getting another rescue for a short time. And he was saying how great that was, that people like me were doing that. So that was very heartwarming to hear. And last but not least, I needed to add to my collection, and I got Mr. Maurice LaMarche, Brain from Pinky and the Brain. I got Rob Paulson earlier last year, and I just needed Brain to figure that out, or to finish that out. Now I also need Wacko and Dot or Yakko and Dot to finish off my collection of Animaniacs autographs. Because I loved this show growing up, and the new version is just as good. So yeah, I went and got all my autographs, and I was kind of done. I was kind of done shopping, which shocked me, because that's usually what takes up all the day. To be fair, I usually end up running into friends, and we usually kind of backtrack and do stuff a couple times because they didn't do something, I did. And all my friends were busy. All my volunteer friends were volunteering. All of my cosplay friends were either not there or they were busy cosplaying. So I said, well, I got nothing to do. Might as well throw on a cosplay. So I threw Gambit on and I went out and got some pictures as Gambit. Gambit was a big, big hit this weekend. I said earlier in the pre-show on Instagram Live, I will be bringing Gambit to London Comic-Con in a couple weeks. He got a great reaction, so I'll definitely be bringing him out again, especially because of the show X-Men 97 and the Deadpool Wolverine movie. In fact, if I heard you're going to make a name for yourself one more time, if you gave me a nickel for every time I heard that over the weekend directed at me, I'd be able to probably buy about 20 more autographs because it was every 5 feet, which is fine. I'm not complaining. It's just what I grew up as Michael Myers, so I hear those things all the time, so it doesn't bother me. But I can understand so many people getting like, okay, shut up about it. But I don't mind it. I liked it. Met up with my friends at the Geeks and Co. They were doing a live podcast at the Cosplay Awards booth. So we walked over and yacked with them for a bit, jumped on their show. If you want to see it, go check out their channel after the show. And then that was kind of it. I packed everything up and decided I'm going to go get some food. I went up the street to the Elephant and Castle. It's a great British pub in the Toronto area. If you're going to Toronto, check them out. And got myself some food and I headed home. That was day one. Pretty simple, pretty uneventful. Day two, here's where the fun begins. So I relaxed in the hotel at the beginning of the day. I'm the person, have to work on your dialect. Yes, I'm well aware, Alex. Thank you for that. No, I'm well aware. There were so many people who were like, you need to do your Cajun accent. And I said, no, because I have a very bad Cajun accent. I have a very bad Italian accent when I do Luigi. I am 3 steps away from Papa the Poopy. It's not good. It's very insulting. So I'm not the Cajun swabster that Gambit is. I am a guy who dresses up in a costume that looks like him. So day two, relaxed in the hotel in the morning, got up bright and early, had some coffee, relaxed, and then I got into Gambit. Went down. We had a Marvel meetup at the Cosplay Red Carpet, which was great. Met some amazing new cosplayers that are coming in. Added them on social media. We yacked a little bit, talked about what we liked about the show, what we liked about the movies, yada, yada, yada. It was a lot of fun. I love doing those. If you're a cosplayer and you're going to Fan Expo, if you're not doing the Cosplay Red Carpets, you are missing out on so much. If you're missing out on the meetups, you're missing out on so much because you get to talk to people who have the same interests as you. If you're a cosplayer who's doing a Storm cosplay, you'll run into somebody who's doing a Bishop and a Wolverine and all these people. We all have the same fandom. Go do it. Go have fun. I met a girl who was so scared. It was her first time being at this con. She was so worried. And I said, what are you worried about? And she said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, no, don't be worried. We're all in this together. We were all in your shoes. We've just done it more often. Come on, come talk to us. So we started yakking about stuff and she felt so good about it after. And it was so good to meet her and every other cosplayer at the meetup. Then we walked around a little bit. I walked through the North Building. I walked through the South Building in Gambit. I have the expanding playing cards, which everyone loved. I'm so glad I built that. I was showing that off to everybody. Everybody was getting a hoot out of it. Then I came back to my room. As I said earlier, it was nice to have my bedroom that close that I could go back to my room and just relax and not feel like I have to walk miles to get home. Went back, had some lunch. I brought my own food. That's another thing, folks. Bring some food into your hotel room if you can. I'm not saying bring a pizza and stuff like that, but like bring some Mr. Noodles or those pre-made rice kits and stuff like that. It was so nice to have that and not have to pay thousands of dollars, sadly, for con food. Relaxed a little bit, then went back down, and I saw the Geeks & Co. guys. They were getting matching tattoos. Can you believe that? The Geeks & Co. guys now have that logo, a version of it, tattooed pretty much in that location. That is not something I will do. I will probably not get Monday Night Nerd or Myers Corp Cosplay tattooed on my body. I have one tattoo, and I don't like it, and I wish I never got it, and it's just not for me. It was cool seeing everybody walking around. Like I said, everybody was super excited to see my cosplay, which again, I wasn't expecting Gambit to be as well received as it was. I was super happy that I don't know. I just didn't feel confident is not the right word, but I just didn't feel 100% in it. But once I started seeing the reaction, I felt a lot better in it. Andre, I stuck food in all 4 days, managed to keep it cold too, didn't pay a cent for con grub. Honestly, I don't feel bad that anyone does that. I really don't. It's becoming too much when it comes to food. That is one thing that I don't have a problem with because I have ways to avoid it. And so it's not really an issue for me, but I know a lot of people who are just like, it's way too much to pay for that stuff. People keep buying it though. So, and Alex says he did an amazing job on Gambit. I appreciate that a lot. I ran into the lady who is taking care of Fan Expo's TikTok, and I may be on one of their future TikToks. I don't know for sure. But we took a video, so fingers crossed. And it was funny enough, me as Gambit doing I'm going to make a name for myself. So yeah, that might come up on their TikTok one day. I don't know. Then just walked around a little more, then came back to my room. And then went with some con friends to Jack Astor's and got some food. It was nice seeing them, talking to them, and seeing what the volunteers and the staff were dealing with on a daily basis. Everything seemed good, which was nice. Saturday is usually the crazy day, and for me, it became a crazy day. So Saturday, the big day, the masquerade day, the Masters of Cosplay competition was this evening, and I wasn't nervous. I was really, really excited. I wasn't nervous about the costume though, and that was because Judge Dredd takes a lot of work to get into. And it's not because it's a big cosplay. It's because it's a pain in the ass cosplay. To get into Judge Dredd, if you haven't seen it, it is a set of coveralls with a lot of armor pieces that are snapped on. Well, in order to do that, I have to have all of them snapped on, and I have to slide into the coveralls, because if I move them in any unparticular way, they will pop loose. So I started putting Dredd on, and I realized this was not going to work as I was not able to do it on my own. There was no way I was able to get this thing on my own. So I phoned my good friend Crystal in chat, and I said, Crystal, I need some help. Did you need baby powder? No, it's not leather, thankfully. It's not tight, but it's snug. More in the shoulders than anything else. And this is something I want to point out, one little thing that happened, and that is, so the shoulder pieces, if you haven't seen it, I have a big eagle shoulder and I have a big padded looking shoulder. They are snaps that are put, yes, Crystal lost a fingernail. Sorry. Each of them has a bunch of snaps on it, and they're snapped to the coveralls. Well, I was having problems with them popping loose. So my thought was, if I can get a screwdriver, I can unscrew the snaps that are screwed into the 3D printed pieces, give myself a little bit of wiggle room, and that'll make things a little easier. Great concept in theory, I thought. However, once Crystal was able to get them on, I realized the problem here is that because the snaps are now not flush, they are now digging into my shoulders. So the ease of getting it on probably got a little easier. The pain factor went up a little bit, and boy, did it smart after about 6 hours of it. So Crystal and I went down to the main floor, the 200s with the cosplayers, and we stood around. We took some photos with some people. She introduced me to some amazing cosplayers, and I can't thank Crystal enough. As open and easy as this is, where I'm talking to a camera or I'm talking on stage or something like that, one-on-one, I'm a nightmare when I first meet some people. I am the person who will very much keep my mouth shut and sort of take in the person and sort of see where they are when it comes to, what I can say without I possibly offending them or anything like that. So having Crystal there and sort of being that buffer was so nice, because there are some people that we talk to that I'm like, I would never talk to you because I wouldn't know what to say, and I wouldn't know how you would take my sense of humor and stuff like that. So I thank Crystal a lot for being that middleman. So this is one of the funny things. So we went, Crystal because I was kind of hanging out with Crystal all day, we went to her judging first. She had judging for her cosplay competition, and then I had mine. For those who don't know, judging, it's sort of the pre-judging. What they'll do is you'll bring what's called the build book, which is basically a book you create. Mine was like 19 pages. Each page basically says how you built the piece of your cosplay and, blah, 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 blah. You bring it, you stand in front of the judges, and they kind of look through your cosplay, see what you did, get close-up looks on everything, and then you leave. So Crystal went in and did hers first. Mine was a little bit later, but I ended up doing it just after hers. And while Crystal was in her getting her cosplay done, Pat, who, if you don't know Pat is the gentleman who the cosplay coordinator for Fan Expo Fan Expo Canada, as well as the other cosplay competitions that Fan Expo puts on and other conventions. He came over, and we've talked every now and then when I see him at conventions, and he said, "So, you have a podcast?" And I said, "Yes, I do. Why do you ask?" And he goes, "Well, I watched your episode last year." And I said, "Oh, my Fan Expo review?" And he said, "Yes, I did." Now, for those who don't know, last year's Fan Expo episode, I kind of blistered the masquerade section of the cosplay contest because I just wasn't a fan of it. I've been doing the cosplay contest probably since 2011, pretty much every year except for a couple. And it has changed a lot over the past, let's say, 5-6 years since Informa has taken over the Fan Expo company and the Fan Expo banner. Some of it for the better, some of it not, in my opinion. And he said, I critiqued it. And I said, "Yep, I did." And he said, "We've got some things that we're working on." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yep." I don't think he's going to be upset that I'm saying this on my podcast. But yeah, it was a really nice conversation. And I really want to say that, and I hope he is watching, because I wanted to say this to him in person, but I didn't really get a chance. It was really nice talking to him this weekend. We'll talk. I'm going to mention it more later during the competition, but it was really nice to sort of have that conversation with Pat, because he was kind of the, guardian angel, let's say, of the cosplay guests, the cosplay competition, etc. And I really didn't get a chance to have a conversation with him. So when things were going wrong, and I will say this is my fault, I assumed the worst. And that was wrong. I shouldn't have assumed that this person didn't care, or that this person just, was doing it as a, whatever. And I was wrong to feel that way, because now that I've had a conversation with Pat and really had a chance to interact with him, I was completely wrong. And, I'll just say it. I'm sorry if that's the way how it came off in any way. I apologize. If that was how someone may have modified my words, if they had ever talked to Pat, I was not in my attention. I did not know who he was, really, except for a couple brief conversations. But actually getting to sit down and talk to him a little bit was really, really nice. So we'll get into more of that later. So Crystal did her judging. I went in and did my judging, and it was really cool. I have to admit, with some of my cosplays, I've done Red Arrow. I've done, let's see, Luigi. Luigi's an exception. Judge Dredd the first time, and a couple other ones. When I go in to get judging, there wasn't really a ton to talk about, in my opinion, because it was a lot of, I built this all out of foam, and that was it. With this Judge Dredd, I had a lot more to talk about. And that's great, but it's also a problem, because it felt like it went like that. And I'm like, I have so much more to say. And I didn't get a chance to. So I was a little worried about that. But I digress. So we left. We went back out and we walked around a little more. We met up with the Cosplay for a Cure folks. They They're a group from the Ontario area who go to different conventions. And if your cosplay breaks, if you need some advice, if you need to sit, these are the people to go to. They are an amazing group of people. Go check them out. They take donations. They have been a lifesaver on a couple different cosplays that I've done. So it was really good seeing them not only full helping people, but also getting the praise and love that they truly deserve. After a few hours of being in Dread and Crystal, who was in her beautiful, not Victorian, but a version of the Jack Nicholson Joker with a big gown and hat and everything, we were both exhausted. So because she was able to help me with my cosplay, I said, well, I feel like I owe you something. And she was kind of craving a coffee. So I said, well, how about we go back to my room? We'll just chill there, get, 18th century. Thank you. We'll just chill, relax, get some AC, and just chill for a while. So we went back, relaxed. It was great. Then we went back down. We got ready, and we were ready for the competition. Now, as I said earlier, this is the part where last year I had some strong opinions on the Masquerade and the Masters of... I shouldn't call it the Masquerade anymore. It's just what I'm used to. The Masters of Cosplay Grand Prix. I had some really strong opinions, and I was really critical because, like I said, I've done this so many times, and not just with them, but with other conventions that I was like, how do you guys keep screwing this up? So I went in with a clean slate, went, okay, let's start from scratch. Let's see how this goes. We went to the green room, and it was okay. I'll say that. I don't blame people like Pat for this. We didn't have any chairs. So someone like Crystal, who was in a giant dress and everything, didn't get to sit. Now, we didn't stay long in the green room, which was great. That's the worry, is that there are some conventions, and I'll even say Anime North is one, where they will have you in the green room ready to go for hours before you actually go on stage. And it gets really hot, really tiring waiting. This one, we got in and we were not there very long. I think we were there for maybe 40 minutes at most. And then we were walking towards the stage. I got to hang out and talk to somebody who I had, again, with the same as Pat, I had such a odd opinion of, even though I had met him briefly and talked to him. There's a cosplayer in the Ontario area, and if you've been to any of these cons, he is the Swedish Chef cosplayer. And he is hilarious. He is absolutely hilarious. He has been probably he's been a part of every Masters of Cosplay competition since Informa has bought the con. And I think he's even been at some before that. Now, as someone who was very critical of the Masquerade, I always saw his stuff, and it was very basic, where even this time, he did a Swedish Chef on vacation. So he did a Hawaiian shirt, black shorts, the big eyebrows, the hat, and the mustache. I will fully admit, when I first saw him do multiple versions of this, he didn't do a ton of it, and it kind of ticked me off. Because I went, you're taking up a spot for someone who has probably done more. And as I said with Pat, this was me being stupid and not looking at the details. When I actually sat down and talked with him, I realized all of those simple looking things that were on him, he made. He made a Hawaiian shirt. He made shorts. And this Hawaiian shirt that he made looked like he bought it off a store shelf. So, to him as well, and I was embarrassed because I wanted to say this in person, but I'll admit I'm a little bit of a coward when it comes to stuff like this. I apologize for having that feeling because it was stupid to me to think that way. I shouldn't have. And now that I know more, I am blown away by his seam sewing skills, let's say. And he's a hilarious guy. And I cannot wait to see what he's going to do next. So that was one of the best parts of the Masquerade cosplay competition. We walked out, and it was very similar to last year. We did a couple poses on stage, and then we walked off. Now, if you remember last year, my big thing is I like to perform. I wish it was like the old days where we had a full minute on stage. We could bring our own audio, do a skit, all that stuff. I understand that that is not many people's wheelhouse, and that is one of the most terrifying things to think about. I, however, love that idea. So I went, well, I'm not going to get that minute on stage. I'm going to get 3 poses. How do I do something on stage besides pose, 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 walk off? Well, Judge Dredd's line is, I am the law. So how do I do that? Well, I went to improv classes all through high school, and I've done improv classes outside of school. I know how to project my voice without screaming at the top of my lungs. So after the host, who is, by the way, side note, host amazing. I cannot remember her name, but she did a great job. When the host is done reading my little paragraph that I had given her, I will, in the most projected angry voice that I could, yell, I am the law. And the way I did that was, I'm a wrestling fan, and back in the 2000s, and still with the WWE today, there is a wrestler and now the chief operations officer, Triple H, Paul Levesque, had a phrase that he used to use called, I am the game. So I just thought in my head, how would Triple H do this? I am the law. And I did it as loud as I could. And the host, being as good as she is, caught it and brought the microphone over to me. She said, I don't believe I heard that correctly. Can you say it again? Which was very nice of her to do. And I did it again and I got some applause, and I was proud of that little moment. Walked off stage, felt pretty proud of myself. Wasn't 100% sure, on awards or anything like that. Everyone was sitting in a chair. Now, my nose is really itchy. Everyone was sitting in a chair, and even Crystal was offering a seat to sit down. And I said, no, because if I sit in this thing, it's weird to get up, and I don't want anything to pop. I'm just going to stand. I've been standing all day. I'll just stand a little longer. So I kind of stood with my back against the curtain, kind of looking to the side, watching the masquerade. And the rest of the competitors came out. They all did an incredible job. Go check out, I can't remember the person is on the Facebook fan group, or the Facebook Fan Expo group, but they have a whole bunch of photos from the masquerade. They all killed it this year. They had an in-between presentation, and that was by Bridget Fiddle. If you don't know who Bridget Fiddle is, she is an amazing violinist in the Toronto area who is very good at doing different pop culture nerdy songs, Pokemon, Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. So she did a small concert for everybody while the judges were deliberating. That was really good. It was very good to kind of keep the momentum going and not have sort of dead air that gets people up and leaving. And then we started to give out awards. And this year there was 3, 6, 7, 8 awards. So there was brought to you by Jack Link's Jerky, the craziest cosplayer, whatever the title was. And someone won that one. It was a really cool volcano head type cosplay. I don't know the character. Then there was the Sustainability Award, and the Sustainability Award was someone who used recycled materials and such to create their cosplay, and it was an individual who did the Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. They did their wings out of trash bags, which you couldn't tell they were trash bags. And as they were going up, Pat came over and was standing next to me. And we started talking. And he said that I looked at him. I said, "That's really cool. Trash bags." He said, "I know, we couldn't even tell. Like, it was such a good job." And we were just kind of chit-chatting back and forth for a few minutes. And then they got to a judge's award. And the judge's award, the judge grabbed the microphone and said, "We want to give this award to somebody who," I'm paraphrasing, I haven't seen the footage and I was kind of a blur at the time. But they said someone who brought their build book to their judging, and each page of the build book had their way they built their piece of the cosplay, but also underneath each page that showed what they built, they put a lesson they learned. They put when it was One Piece, they shouldn't have waited to the last minute to 3D print this. They should have done it earlier because there's a couple fails, and it would have been better to have it done early because then they could do more with it. When it comes to sewing, they're still an amateur at it, but they want to keep growing. So it was just little bits here and there. And they admitted the stitches weren't the best, but they know they can do more once they keep trying. And that's when they said the judge's award goes to Myers Corp Cosplay. And as soon as they started talking about the booklet, I knew it was me. And as soon as her name is Cowbutt Crunchies, the cosplayer that was the judge, as soon as she started talking, Pat looked at me and said, "I'm going to step away for a second." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "I'm just going to step away for a second." And once I heard her start talking, I looked over at him and he gave me a little wink, which was really nice of him to do. So yeah, I won an award at Fan Expo. This is my first Journeyman Award. So for those who don't know, in the cosplay world, there are 3 to 4 levels depending on the con that you're going to. There's novice, there's journeyman, and there's master. There's artisan, which is sort of like in between journeyman and master, but at this con, it's 3 of them. And I have never won a best in show or a best novice or anything like that. But because I have 3 small awards, I automatically get bumped up because I've competed so much and I've done enough that I got bumped up to journeyman. So this is now my first journeyman award, which is crazy because those 3 are all for Luigi. This is the first award I won without being in Luigi. And it really, the Luigi ones meant a lot. The 2019 one, when I won and went up on stage and did the extra stuff, was great. But this one was that, whoa, like, this is something. And I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm not good enough and all that. But to have 3 awards for the same cosplay from different conventions, I didn't compete at the same convention, but to have 3 awards for the same cosplay, there's that little voice in your head that says, are you a one-trick pony? Like, is Luigi the one? And everything else is kind of meh. And then when I got this one, I went, no. This is like, I can do this. This is the thing. Like, I knew this was the thing, obviously, because I have all the stuff behind me, but it was that little bit of that cherry of like, you got this. So it really, really felt good getting that one, and that, okay, I know what I'm doing, the right thing. The first one was, I know what I'm doing. This is the reassurance of it's the right thing. So yeah, that is my first journeyman award, and the other winners totally deserve, honestly. And I'm not saying this just because Crystal is in the chat, and other cosplayers, but seriously, I would have given every single one of those cosplayers an award like that. Usually, you can sit there and kind of go, okay, there's 50 people. I can give you the top 10. Every single one from novice to master rocked this year. There wasn't one that I kind of looked at and kind of, not snobbish, but kind of was like, they all rocked. So yeah, totally deserved. Everybody deserved one. I would have hated to have been a judge this year. But yeah, so that was the end of the awards. The winners went up on stage and we all got a photo, and then all the rest of the cosplayers came up. We got a photo. I saw Pat after, and I kind of gave him a fist bump and said, dude, that was way better. The crowd was into it. The host was really good. The cosplayers were really into it. It was really fun. And if that's the way they're going to keep going, good on them, because that made things better, and that's a really good step in the right direction. There are things I wish they would improve. I wish they would videotape it and put it on their YouTube. That's me. I wish they would Fan Expo would take photos and put it on a Fan Expo website. I wish we would get the minute. That's me. I know I'm the minority on that one, but I wish we had the minute to do the performance. But overall, it was a step in the right direction. Also last year and all the years before that, this was the finals for the Masters of Cosplay. So at the end of each con that Fan Expo owns, they have a winner and they all compete at the end. All the winners compete at the end, and whoever's won the grand championship gets, prize and money and all that. Well, that used to end in Toronto, and we would have all of them come here. This is the first year that they didn't do that. The winners are all going to MegaCon, which I believe is in February. Alex will correct me. In MegaCon in Orlando, which was really nice, because one of the problems I had last year was there was the cosplayers go out, there's a break for the judging, then the master guys come out, there's a break, and then there's awards. So there was a little too much jarringness. This was cosplayers came out, there's a break, awards, you're done. That was really nice. That's what a lot of conventions do. So that was another nice little good job. But yeah, I was right. It was in February. Brain still works. But that was it. Then, I chatted with Crystal for a little bit, and I went back to my room. I got changed. I went out I met up with Alex and the rest of the convention people, who gave me a great standing ovation. I guess you'd call it a round of applause for the win. And yeah, that was really cool. Even, from you guys to other cosplayers, I kind of posted it on the post, and Crystal said it there. We couldn't stand her. We would have. I know you guys were you were too busy eating a bunch of nachos. Yeah, it was, Crystal said in chat, I kind of felt that way too, and I will fully admit I did later, where it was kind of like, man, and I'm not going to do it here, but I have a song, and I have a song that is sort of like, it's one of my favorite songs. It's an instrumental. No one's ever heard of it. Probably. It's not from a major band. It's a piano piece. And it's one of the most beautiful piano pieces I've ever heard. And I remember in 2019, when I won that first award, I remember sitting on the balcony of the Airbnb, and I just had that song playing. And it was sort of that, I got to take it in and kind of go like, wow, like, this is something you can do and you're good at. So I had that moment again on Saturday night when I got back from dinner, and I kind of sat there and was like, man, look what you've done in 15 years. Like, you went from just showing up for the first time with your three friends, your three brothers, and 15 years later, because of decisions you've made, you're now a 4-time cosplay award winner. You have a countless number of cosplay friends, convention friends, volunteer friends, all because of me going to Fan Expo one time. And I'll fully admit, I cried, because it was kind of like, dude, what would have been if I didn't go? Like, seriously, what would I have been? And I went downstairs and I had to talk to the desk just to make sure about luggage for the next day. And I just had, threw on some clothes after I showered, and I looked outside and I saw just random people walking around, and I was kind of like, wow. I remember the first Saturday after the masquerade, my brother Tom, my brother Gavin, my brother Andy, we went from our hotel, which was like Spadina, and we walked at like midnight to Yonge and Dundas. And it was like all the lights were on, everyone was still out having, like, it felt like the middle of the day. And I kind of went, I want to go for a walk. And so I went for a walk. And I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't have my wallet with me or anything. I literally just had shorts, t-shirt, phone, and I didn't even have socks on. I just had my runners on. And I went for a walk, and I ended up at Yonge and Dundas again. And I was kind of like, holy shit, like 15 years later, and I'm back here. And what I've done in 15 years. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but like, I still can't believe that one choice that I could have said no to, and every part of my being would have said no to, because I know what I was back then and 15 years ago. I don't want to go. It's too much of inconvenience. I'd rather stay home. I would have said no, but I didn't. I said yes. And now look where I am. I'm doing this, and like, I've got you guys, and I've got so many friends, and I've got so much cosplay stuff under my belt because of it. So it's, sometimes you need to do something different. Like, really, sometimes you need to do something different, and you won't plan on it to change everything, but man, it will change things. And I'm so happy I made that choice. I am so happy to make that choice. Even coming back, funny enough, one of our friends, Aaron, was out having a smoke in front of his hotel, and he saw me walking home. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, I'm coming back from a walk. He's like, where'd you walk to? I'm like, Yonge and Dundas. He's like, what the hell? It's midnight. I'm like, I know, I'm crazy. And we kind of had, we yacked for a little bit, and he was like, it's really cool, because he's kind of new to our volunteer group, him and his wife. And he's like, it's really cool that you've kind of brought us in. And I'm like, dude, like, we all have been in that moment, and we've all been that, like, hey, thank you for bringing us in. Because if it wasn't for people like my friend Brad and Meg and Bonnie and all them, like, I wouldn't have those friends, and now I do, and it means a lot. And people like Alex and Crystal and everybody else in chat. But yeah, that was a moment and a night where it was kind of like, wow, this is real, and this is going to continue, and I can't wait to see what next year brings, and the next con, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was Saturday, and I was dead Sunday. I was exhausted. I slept in. Sunday we're going to do quickly, because I honestly didn't do much. I woke up really friggin' tired. I packed up my clothes. I didn't cosplay. I didn't even cosplay that day. I was supposed to do Gambit in street clothes, but I just was not feeling it. I walked around a little bit. I think I got there around 11. I caught up with Crystal. I caught up with JS from Geeks & Co. and a couple others. And honestly, I was out of the con by 1 o'clock. And it wasn't because it wasn't good. It just, I had kind of done everything. There wasn't any panels or anything I really wanted to do. I know if I stayed longer, I would have bought more. And I didn't want to buy more. And to be honest, I didn't buy anything except for the autographs. I didn't buy anything physical. This is the first year I've not bought a thing besides, the autographs. So I was like, okay, I didn't spend any money. Let's keep it that way. So that was kind of it. I was home by 2:30, and my wife and I went out for lunch/dinner together, and it was just nice to be home early. And based on what some have said in the chat, and some have talked to me privately, I'm glad I left early. Not that the con was bad, but like, everyone's exhausted today, and I'm not doing too bad. I'm a little tired, but not too bad. So overall, Fan Expo 2024, what I think about it. Well, let's go through some positives. Some positives. This con felt more positive than last year. It felt like things were running a little smoother. It felt like everyone kind of had a feel for things. I think the pandemic, like a lot of things, kind of took people out of the norm, and they needed that little bit of, we got to get running again. So I think that was definitely better this year. I really liked the vendors this year. I didn't buy anything, but it was nice to see vendors that weren't just all Funkos and weren't all just. There was a ton of anime stuff last year, which I appreciated, but I feel like they toned it back this year, which was nice. Have some of those major vendors back, like Xbox and Lego being showcased. That was really cool. I hope they get some more of those because I know they bring in a great audience. The cosplays kicked ass this year. There were so many good cosplays. I am terrible for not taking more photos, but the photos and the pictures that I've seen online of other cosplayers, man, they killed it this year. I can't wait to see what some of you pull out next year. Freakish, I'm looking at you. And yeah, it was great. Now, things that need improvement. I personally wish they would do more things on the floors that aren't being used as much. I wish they would do more things on the 200s and actually showcase them on a map. I wish they would do more things on the 100s. I wish they could figure out some things to do on, I think it's the 700s, that first level on this after the first elevator down into the south building. I wish they could do something more with that area to give people something to do and spread people out a little more. A lot of things get crushed together when the important stuff is all together. Artist Alley being elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder. Same with a lot of the vendor hallways. It's just, you're like this. I'm not saying put vendors up there, but if we can move some things into these open spaces, I think that'll help a little bit get some relief. Like I said quickly, put those things on the maps. Put that Hall H is in the basement of the North Building. The second floor, 200s, like not having that on the map, I don't understand why it's not on there, especially when all your cosplay guests are there. The cosplay red carpet's there. You have panels in the other rooms. The cosplay lounge is there. I don't understand why that's not on the map. We all have said it. I've said it now. We're done. Saturday is becoming a big no for me. If I'm cosplaying, we stayed on that second 200 level. I'm probably going to do that from now on. I took one walk up onto the top of the North Building and nope. Can't do it. It's way too crowded up there to have a cosplay. I don't care what it is. I had some kind of big shoulders in that thing. Nope. It's way too crowded as a cosplayer. Again, I wish they could move some things around to make it a little easier. I don't know how they do that, but it's just the way it is. Need to figure out lots of dead air in some of the hallways and some of the floors. I wish they would move things around. Score overall, I'm going to give Fan Expo 2024 a 7 out of 10. I think this was a great step in the right direction. I know we have some people in the Facebook group, which we'll go over in a few minutes, and some people have left some comments about different things, but I give it a 7 out of 10. I think they're on the right direction. I think as long as management doesn't do a complete rehaul over this year, I think we're going to look really, really good going into 2025. Now, I did ask you guys earlier on a story to tell me what you thought of Fan Expo 2024. We're going to get into that. Lady Kari Cosplay said there was only one exit out of the South Building people were allowed to use. Yeah, that's kind of a problem of having everything in sort of a basement area, is there's kind of only one way to get up and out. Again, I think having some things on that fourth level that more people want to do or not the fourth level, whatever that middle level is between the south, the second level up from the South Building. I wish they would do something more with that. I know they have the kids lounge there and they have some panel rooms, but I just feel They need something more that will get people in there doing something and it not just being a travel area. I know they do want to keep it as a travel area because it makes travel easier, but I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of empty room they could do stuff with. Co-General Dameron said not enough volunteers to help with the crowds. See, there's a problem with that, though, is you need people to volunteer. And that becomes a problem because volunteers are not a paid position. You get access to the convention, but you have to work. You have to do your volunteer job to get that. You also have to put a security deposit down. Basically, what that means is you have to put a certain amount of money, I forget what it is, with Fan Expo to say, yes, I will do my volunteer. I won't just take the shirt and take off and enjoy the con. That is something a lot of people have a problem with. I am one of those people. I feel like I'm trustworthy enough that I don't need to do that, but they don't know me as well as, Hamilton and Toronto and all that. So I can just imagine what others feel about that. So that is a problem. I wish every con had more volunteers, especially the ones that I volunteer for. Pretty Crystal said the heat, not enough air conditioning. It's always a bloody problem. That building is not built for what we do. The main rooms, the north and south, are, but it's all that middle, the bridge and all that stuff that is the problem. And it's just not built for that many people. How to fix that, unless Fan Expo wants to put a bunch of money into doing something to that building and putting money into it, I don't think it's going to change. It's just something we kind of have to do our best to deal with. And last but not least, kind of talking about the bridge, Alex said the bridge is a pain. Yes, agreed. The bridge is always a pain. Tip for anyone who's a cosplayer. If you don't like the bridge, I have a solution for you. Do the bridge. And here's why. Because if you stay on the inside lane of the bridge and the escalators and everything else, what you are doing is you're giving the people walking towards you a view of your cosplay. You are showcasing your cosplay to a revolving amount of new people. There are so many people that stop me and ask for photos and have comments and oh my gods and all that because I'm on that side of the lane. So if you're a cosplayer, stay on that inside so people can see your cosplay. Take that negative, turn it into a positive. Alex said FXC is the biggest event held at the MTCC. I don't know if you could get a bigger thing. Well, I don't know what else would be big enough that would take up as much room as Expo does. That is about it, folks. We've gone a little long. Before we go, though, I would love for you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all those things. We're going to do one quick thing I said on the live chat, and I think I said at the beginning. If not, we're going to do it anyways. This is the Detective Comics 27 issue. This came in the ultimate bag of that I got with Fan Expo. And the perk of this is that there are 12 different covers that this could be. Do I know what each one is? Kinda. That says there's an A version and a B version, then each one could either be a main edition, a virgin edition, an embossed version, an embossed edition 2, an embossed artist edition, or the embossed artist edition cover, a remarked. And there's different, like 1 and 5, 1 and blah, 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 blah. So I thought it'd be cool to do a quick unboxing here for all of you who stuck around, and let's see which one I got. Car Show does larger numbers, but over 2 weeks. Yeah, that's the perk, is they have a lot more time to do that. All right, I'm going to make sure the book is at the bottom. We're going to give it a quick snip, 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 snip. Snip, 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 snip. And all those people who are diehard comic book fans saw me do that and had a heart attack because they're like, it's not worth as much. I don't care. All right. I'm going to pull it backwards so I don't even see what it looks like. And we're going to do a turn. In 3, 2, 1. Ooh, I like that cover. I like that. Which version is this? I have no idea. I have no idea which one this is. Exclusive variant cover. So this is one of the variant covers. Is this just a normal one? I think this is just a main edition cover. So this is, ooh, yeah, it's the old Batman. Yeah, so it's the old comic with a new cover. Cool. I like it. I think, yeah, I think this is just the normal one. This is the one that is on the bag as well. I don't care. It looks cool. All right. So that, yeah, main edition cover. Yep. So it's just the normal one. That's okay. I still like it. Folks, we are done. It is Fan Expo 2024. We are in the books. We are done. What do we have going on next? Well, we have a special guest next week. I hope that person remembered it because that person's in the chat. We're going to have Pretty Nerdy Crystal on the show next week. We're going to be talking to her about a ton of different things. We're going to talk about sewing. We're going to talk about cosplaying as a mom because she is a mom. And we're going to talk all about we're going to bring up Fan Expo because we kind of hung out for most of Saturday. And was it October 7th? It could have been October 7th. I've changed the dates a bunch. It might be October 7th. My notes are all over the place. You might be October 7th. And if she's not on them next week, we'll have a different thing. What it is, I have no idea. But the next couple of weeks, we're going to have London Comic Con. We're going to have Hamilton Comic Con. We're going to have Frightmare in the Falls and a whole lot more. So, folks, have yourselves a good night. I will talk to you soon. And like I said before, like, subscribe, all those things. Love you guys. Have a great weekend and a great week. Fan Expo's over. Hey, we got another 364 days, 363 days. You guys start cosplaying yet? See you Fan Expo 2025. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.